Welcome back, everyone, to Today in Woburn's election series. Today, we are meeting with Ward 6 City Councilor Lou DiMambro, who is running unopposed in November's election. Lou, welcome back to Today in Woburn's election series. Thanks so much for being with us.
Carl, thank you for having me, and I appreciate this opportunity, and I look forward to the interview.
Great. So, tell us how the past couple of years have been as the city councilor for Ward 6.
Super busy. Um, Ward 6 is a very, very diverse ward. It's probably one of the busiest wards next to Ward 5, Councilor Mercer Bruin's ward. We have not only residential, we have single family, two family, multi-family homes. We have apartments, we have industry, commercial, light commercial, heavy commercial, larger buildings, industry. It's pretty robust, and we also have things like the bridge project. There is lots of construction going on, and the rejuvenation, I believe, if I like to call it, of Ward 6. So it's been very, very busy. Along with we had the MBTA 3A project or proposal that came upon us, as well as accessory dwelling units. So it's been all encompassing, and it's been very, very, very busy for the last couple of years.
So, what would you say are a few of your top priorities for the upcoming term?
I would say for the upcoming term, my priority one is definitely to get a new Alta Vista Linscott combo school up in North Woburn, um, as well as an ECP. I have talked to many of the school committee members. I've talked to many of the school administrators. It's a priority, I feel, up in North Woburn. As far as I'm concerned, it's 25 years overdue, definitely 15 years overdue. Um, North Woburn is the last area of Woburn to get a new elementary school. And I believe our test scores are starting to reflect that. We don't have the technology we should be having up in North Woburn for our children, um, as well as the climate control systems, and just a new building for our young learners that are coming up, and they deserve every chance and every opportunity to have what the rest of the city has been provided. It's time North Woburn has that. That's priority one. My next one is always trying to take and find new ways to alleviate the traffic. I'm working in conjunction with Mass DOT. I'm working in conjunction with the MBTA, Massport, as well as our local city engineers. Constantly in the department head meetings with Mayor Concanon, we talk about this practically on a weekly basis. We're trying to find ways to alleviate traffic, especially for the Merrimack people down on Merrimack Street, the New Boston Street Industrial Parkway corridor. I'm trying to find ways to tie in the New Boston Street Bridge, as well as Congress Street or Atlantic Ave over at the Anderson Station. I've been lobbying as well as not only with our mayor, but also our state representative, Rich Haggerty. I've been trying to make a connection from Zero New Boston Street over to Atlantic to alleviate some of the traffic in that area. Again, the bridge, yes, it's going to be beneficial, but I believe it's also going to bring more cross traffic from Wilmington to and from. And we need more arteries to our highways, and that one would lead many, many, many vehicles to and from the 93 corridor at the Commerce Way on and off ramp. So that would be a second priority. And other priorities are just maintaining North Woburn, trying to get infrastructure upgrades. We need more power. We need more power from Eversource. We need more gas from National Grid. We also need drainage efforts and new drainage and stormwater management efforts, because again, there's a lot of impervious material due to all the build, all of the again, it's not back with the farmlands and the piggeries that it once was. I mean, it's thickly settled. It's robust up here. And the last time this area was really concentrated on was probably in the late 60s, early 70s when they took and they built the industrial park on Industrial Parkway in New Boston Street. And all of those underground utilities need to be updated, um, so that we don't have power loss. I work in conjunction with Eversource on a continuum basis with tree trimmings and utility poles that are bent and double and triple poles. I've led the charge on trying to navigate, negotiate with Eversource constantly, trying to eliminate some of these leaning poles that are just extremely heavy and they're really old and they have a lot of utilities and hardware on them. And if one goes down, it's going to be a serious problem for the North Woburn residents. So it's a constant battle. It's been on my radar for 4 years. I will continue to do that over the next couple of years, and I will continue to try to make the progress and the renovations that are desperately needed up here in North Woburn.
Thanks, Lou. And you've talked about some things that you're prioritizing within your ward. Is there something happening in the ward that you wish more people outside of the ward knew about and were made aware of?
I think it's definitely the Alta Vista School, the Linscott School, and the ECP. We have a great opportunity up in North Woburn. Anyone that's familiar with the Alta Vista property knows that there is quite a bit of land in the front of that elementary school, and that would provide, according to the engineering firms, Danisco, that area could take and be developed into a very, very beautiful, but a large school that would combine the Alta Vista, the Linscott, and a full-time ECP for our little learners. And I think it's time that we start focusing on that. And I would like to see the support from the rest of the Woburn community. I'd like many to just wrap around our Ward 6 residents and encourage the school committee as well as school administration to put forth that plan and to get that plan moving and put it into the MSBA and get that ball rolling, because again, it's 15 years overdue and it's time we address it.
Thank you. What would you say is one challenge that keeps coming up in conversations with the residents of your ward?
It's traffic. It's always the traffic. Traffic's always number one. Um, our first responders do an outstanding job. We have great police presence. We have our fire department is I see it and I hear it. They respond to all our residents up in Ward 6. So I never have any complaints about that. What I do always have a complaint on is the traffic. Lou, what can we do? Can we slow people down? Can we make this do not enter and one way for residents and residents only and this and that? And these are all things that have been tried over and over again. And then the residents get upset because they get ticketed because they went down the one way, even though they live on the street, and so on and so forth. Or they find out that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The streets up in North Woburn are old streets. Some of them are probably 100 years old. Um, so it's hard. And what makes it even harder is, the traffic volume has increased 300 and 400% in that time span. So, we're really struggling with how to, again, navigate the traffic up here. And that's why I've looked into finding arteries and ways to connect even Merrimack Street somehow to Route 38, through the old dump where the landfill is. I'm trying desperately to find arteries to just connect to the main roads, so they're not all this traffic isn't always confined to these areas like Merrimack Street and School Street and Main Street. And you don't have at this particular hour the gridlocks that we constantly have. And then once there's some sort of an accident or an issue or weather on the highways, we find everybody takes Waze and they take Google Maps and they peel off at the Rotary, Route 38, or they peel off up on Mishawam Road, and they start coming through our communities looking to cut through. They come up Alfred Street, down School Street, and I live on School Street. I know when it's happening because the traffic backs all the way up, a mile down the road and down Alfred Street. So that's probably the number one complaint that I have up in Norfolk.
Is there anything, especially recently, that you are hearing from residents in your ward that has made you, that has influenced your thinking on any topic or has made you shift, um, your thought process on anything?
One of the things that I constantly hear from the people is traffic, and also I hear about taxes. I hear about the taxes and the taxes increasing. And I try to explain to the folks, to the residents, you know, where I try to have this balance in my ward, and I'm constantly consciously thinking, how we can take and, bring in, the commercial base and the industrial base that'll help offset their taxes, because the commercial and the industrial, it offsets the residents' taxes. Quite substantially. It's 8.63% for the residents of Woburn, and the tax base for the industry is like 21 to 22%. So there's a substantial difference. But what I try to do is, when we get these petitions that come into the city council, try to get businesses that I know will have a smaller footprint, but they bring the tax revenue that we, desperately need. And people need to understand that we don't have the manufacturing plants we once did with 400, 500, 600,000 employees, like the Atlantic gelatin plant over on, the General Foods plant over on the east side off of Montvale Ave. That employed, you know, hundreds of people. And there's a lot of traffic that went along with that. Businesses today, they're advanced technology businesses. They're a lot of computer based, a lot of automation, robotics. These are the businesses that are coming in that still bring the revenue, but they bring a smaller footprint with far less employees. One building could, possibly employ 40 to 100 people tops. Scientific based, pharmaceutical type companies, because the technology today is going fully automated. They're going with computers. And this is where the future is. But, I'm trying to bring some of those businesses to Woburn, again, to help offset the tax base. And I understand that there's a traffic component that comes along with it, but this is one of the reasons Woburn has one of the lowest tax bases in the Middlesex County, if not, in the state. And the reason why, we have all of the services, and we have the best of services. We have the best fire. We have the best police. We have great teachers. We're trying to build a new school, like I said, up in North Woburn. We always take, and we're always maintaining our schools, and always trying to better them in any way, shape, or form we can. But to do that, we definitely need the revenue. And I try constantly and wrestle with that continuously on how to bring in just the right balance to help the residents and get the residents what they need and what they deserve.
Thanks, Lou. So in between um, election cycles, I know I've seen you out and about in lots of places, but how do you stay connected with your residents in the ward in between elections?
I drive my ward every single day. Every day I'm out and about. I have my cell phone attached to my card, to my email. Um, my phone is on 24/7. I have fielded calls at any hour of the day or night, and right up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm I always try to stay connected with my residents, with my constituents. I volunteer throughout the city at all kinds of events, recycling events, gatherings, fundraisers. I try to, get down to Furlough Field anytime they have an event down there. I'm constantly up in North Woburn. I'm your stereotypical Woburnite. Like, I really don't leave the city or stray too far. So I'm always out and about. And I put myself out there specifically, not only to serve the community, but also to be involved with the community. And I don't shy away from the questions. I just don't. I also have, I'm on Facebook, City Councilor Lou DiMambro. I'm on Facebook. I have my own personal site on Facebook. I have instant messaging. I have text messaging. I probably have 3 or 4 emails. I have the city email. I try to put myself out there as much as possible for my residents. And I try always when I get an email, I don't wait the 24 hours. I try to, as soon as I read it, I respond. And if I need to gather more information or whatever, to get an answer from another department head, whatever I need, um, I keep them in the loop until we get them what, that they're asking. So I'm always trying to put myself out there.
Lou, before we let you go, is there anything you would like to share with your voters in Ward 6 or with any voters across the city?
I just want all the residents to know, we work really hard in the city council. And I try to put forth the best effort I can, for my residents, for my ward. North Woburn was the forgotten land. Ward 6 was the forgotten land for many, many, many years. And I'm third generation. My grandfather grew up in Italy. He came over here after World War One, and he made a life on New Boston Street with his small farm, and he worked at Riley's Tannery. My father was the next generation. Born and raised, he never left Woburn. My mother was a Woburn. Born and raised. They never left Woburn. Again, I'm third generation. I've been up in North Woburn. Again, we've been in the city for 120 years. I've heard all the stories. I've seen all the pictures when it was a farmland. And now that we're going into the next phase of North Woburn, I really want to be a part of it. And I want to continue to serve the residents of Woburn, North Woburn especially, because there is a new North Woburn coming. And I want to be a large part of that so that it's done and it's done right and it's laid out properly for the residents, keeping the residents in mind. Always keeping the residents in mind when these developers are coming in. It's not all about the money. And there is a way to navigate, negotiate these things. And I call it smart growth. And I don't mean anything more than it's really got to be laid out in a very smart manner and forth. It has to have some foresight to it. And that is something I prioritize, and I will always prioritize as long as I hold a seat on the city council. And I just want my North Woburn Ward 6 residents to know that, as well as the residents as a whole throughout Woburn. They are the priority.
Well, Lou, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate having you on. Everyone, we will be back again soon with some more interviews of our city councilors and school committee members. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Carla.
Thanks.